One of the great things about a channel like this is freedom. While I would love to be doing this full time, for now at least, it's a hobby, and one that I'm really passionate about. I try to keep the content here diverse as well, and I started out this year with more projects in mind than I have time to do. So as I was working on my Little Nightmares video, I wondered what's next. Again, a running theme this year. I even started on several ideas. Now, usually I'll play a few games until something sticks out to me where I think, yes, there's something here that I want to talk about. But this time, I had a game thrust upon me. I was talking to my friend Bit Britley about the indecisiveness I've been dealing with, and she asked if I'd ever heard of Sally Face. And well, I had no idea what a Sally Face was. The next thing I know, I see that the game had been gifted to me, and she told me that she knew I would love it. And spoilers for the rest of the video, she was absolutely right. Sally Face captivated me from the start. I did a little bit of research about the game, namely I watched a little bit of a few Let's Plays from Special Ed and Jacksepticeye. I had to stop because I didn't want it spoiled, but the game already had me hooked. I've got some much bigger games in the plans, but this quickly became the only game that I was interested in, which rarely happens. I jumped in and have been slowly making my way through the game, and the more I explore, the more I want to know about the world this game is set in. While I usually have a lot more to say on my introductions, I just really want to get through this and get into talking about this game. So with that out of the way, I'm the Unhinged Gamer, and I welcome you to the Sally Face Retrospective. This one is going to feel a little bit different than the other videos I've made because this game is pretty different than the others I've covered. Sally Face was released in 5 chapters over a number of years. So going into it, I knew that my experience would instantly be different than a lot of the game's fans who had been with it from the beginning. Now, watching Jacksepticeye covering it, I could see how he had trouble remembering things from previous episodes, and I got a kick out of seeing him piecing it back together as all those memories came back to him. Now, I have no idea how long this video is going to be. As I sit here, I completed the game a few days ago, and I feel like I've got a lot that I want to say about it. But it's all really just gonna depend on how things unfold as I go back through the footage again. The game follows the story of Sal Fisher, who moves with his dad to a small town called Knockfell. They find themselves in a rundown apartment building called the Addison Apartments. The story sticks with Sal as he's getting to know his new neighbors, and he instantly ends up thrust into a darker story that he's unwittingly been drawn into. Young Sal ends up forming a group of close-knit friends who start to engage in ghost hunting that eventually leads to so much more. The series is filled with simple mini-games that are mostly enjoyable, but they really serve to help uncover more of the lore of this game. Back to the game itself, Sally Face was created by Portable Moose, which really was a one-man operation pulled together by Steve Gabry. He based the art style on 90s animation, which really adds to a nostalgic vibe here. The game is narrative driven and the gameplay is really simple to pick up and just get a handle on. The first episode dropped in 2016 with 4 more entries that dropped after, ending with the game's climax in 2019. Since then, it's developed a cult following and shockingly, In my search to see how the game's been covered, everything that I've found has been hugely positive. I also know that while I'm late to the party, I've already seen that Sally Face 2 is in production and it's slated to potentially come out next year. So I may be showing up just in time to get on board for that as well. But we're not there yet, so let's go ahead and jump into the world of Sally Face. The game opens up with a flashback. You're Sal Fisher and you're in a dark hospital room. His face is completely wrapped in bloody bandages. He takes a call and the person on the other end is beckoning him to come and see. I love how little we're allowed to actually know right here. It was a bit alarming to see the dog painting on the wall change when the light was turned on, letting us know just how subtly that things aren't going to always be what they seem in this world. Sal then leaves the room and finds the passage bricked up, but we've got other options. It's clear at this point that this is a dream, and we have to solve the puzzle of heading through the right doors in the right order. The hospital then opens up to a funeral. We see people gathered around and completely unaware of our presence before Sally Face talks to a dog who gives us an ominous line before we go back to the site of the funeral. It's Diane Fisher, Sal's mother. Heading deeper, we put a passcode to a door before running into Sal's dad, who claims that he's not his son and his son isn't a murderer. And upon moving forward, we see Sal's mom laying in a hospital bed. And that's when Sal wakes up. He's having a conversation with a therapist, and he's less interested in that wild dream than he is in hearing about a body. At this point, I had no idea what's going on, especially when Sal asked which one. And we find out that he's asking about the second one. I mean, what the hell's going on here? Thankfully, Sal's about to tell us. He and his dad had just moved into a new town, and Sal was going off to explore their new apartment building and meet the neighbors. The building looks dingy, reminding me a lot of some of the apartments that I've seen in some of the more rundown places I've lived over the years. It really reminded me of the apartments that were above the bar I used to manage. Oh yeah, that was a thing. Perhaps I'll get more into that story someday, but for now, the place upstairs looked like it had been nice at some point, but time and neglect took their toll. And even here, the color scheme of this place, especially with the black and white checkerboard flooring in the kitchens that matched the floor of the bar I used to manage. As I'm writing this, I understand why this place feels so familiar to me. And then we find an angry cop guarding a crime scene. This guy is an absolute jerk. The cop is completely out of line with how he's dealing with a kid, and Sal decides to go explore elsewhere. Man, imagine this as your first experience in your new home. As we explore, Sal meets Mr. Addison, the manager and owner of the building. Now, he doesn't welcome us inside, but he's kind to Sal. Another cop, a detective, is there and lets us know that we're cleared. Odd, but okay. Good to know. The tenants here are an eclectic bunch, and thankfully, we're allowed to be that annoying kid that just keeps knocking on doors. We're traveling through the floors here, and the music just feels so melancholic. I love the atmosphere, and within minutes of the game, I was already hooked. Our travels in the apartment will eventually lead us to Charlie. He's an absolute treasure. The first thing he does is ask if the mask is gang related, which I still don't know what to say about that. He's completely consumed by his collection of figurines, particularly his ponies. So I guess we've got a brony here? Ugh. He lets us know that his collections are family to him and that this place is his own little chunk of heaven. And boy, this place is a chunk all right. The whole conversation with him is so incredibly awkward. And when he finds out that we don't know about the ponies? And yes, that is exactly his reaction in the game. He insists that we check out the series before Sal heads out, being so polite to him. It's somehow refreshing just how positive Sal is. And when he continues his searching, he eventually runs into Lisa, the janitor / maintenance woman at the apartments. She seems really nice and lets us know that she's got a son Sal's age, so we're at least not the only kid in this weird building. And with that, we're off to meet probably one of the very best characters in the game aside from Sal. And yes, Sal is absolutely my favorite character in this game. I love that he's got a ton of personality, which is so often lacking in protagonists, with developers wanting them to be more blank so that the player can imprint themselves into the role. But enough about that. Now we're off to meet Larry. Now, as we get to Larry's house, we find a shadow with red eyes in his kitchen before we continue to casually explore his home without his knowledge. And then we finally go into Larry's room. Now, I love that the first thing he does is compliment the mask. We see how uncomfortable Sal is as he lets him know that it's a prosthetic, which the idea of a prosthetic face was something that took me a little bit of time to wrap my head around. Sally doesn't want to talk about what happened with his face, and Larry is happy to drop it. This initial meeting between the two feels so genuine. Sal opens up and tells Larry how the kids at his old school called him Sally Face, so he decided to own the name so that it couldn't be used to hurt him. God, that made me sad to learn. I love that Larry sees Sal being strange as a positive and instantly accepts him as a friend. We learn more about Larry here as he and Sal discuss the band Sanity's Fall, a fictional band in this world that Larry and Sal end up both being huge fans of, headbanging together in the basement. This friendship reminded me a lot of my old friend Brandon. He and I bonded over music in junior high and high school, becoming almost inseparable for years. We were always playing music together, trying to learn new songs, and having no luck in actually putting together a band. He was like a brother to me, and while we fell out of touch years ago, I still think about him all the time, and I hope he's doing well. And I know it's not going to happen, but man, if you're watching this, get in touch. It's been too long, seriously. Okay, now back to the game. Sorry for that little detour, but these two's friendship genuinely reminds me a lot of mine with my old friend. It's one of those things that really drew me in, but we're not here for that, so we're going to move on. Larry tells Sal what's going on with the crime scene. Larry has a police scanner and has been listening in. He offers to make a fake call to distract the cops so that Sal can slip inside, and Sal jumps right into this idea. Again, memories. Larry gives us a walkie so that we can communicate with him. We don't know what's going on inside the apartment, but these two kids are certainly going to get to the bottom of it. It's an adventure, and I was here for it. Sal heads up into his apartment and lets Larry know that he's ready, and then Larry makes a quick call, luring the police officers away to clear the path. I love how quick these two just connected. It felt like they'd known each other their entire lives already, as Sal headed over to investigate, guided along by Larry. Inside the place, it's a total mess. And that's kind of to be expected for a crime scene such as this. There's a chalk outline and blood all over. Sal doesn't take much time in here, noticing that there seems to be a missing pony figure in the room. He then heads out in a hurry and rushes back to Larry. The victim, Mrs. Sanderson, and good old Charlie both collected the ponies, and everything is pointing to him killing her for one of them, which, yeah, that checks out. Now Sal just needs to go back to Charlie's and find and take the pony to give to the cops as the evidence that they need, which, given that they believe that he killed someone over a pony, it's crazy that they're willing to risk this, but kids do crazy things. Now when Sal gets back to Charlie, he can look through the collection and realize that doing anything right now is impossible, as he's literally just sitting there watching us. So more exploration is necessary to crack this case. Downstairs, we meet with Mr. Addison, and he'll give us some tea. Apparently, the guy loves making tea and gives it to anyone who asks. Larry told us that the adults here love it, but he thinks it's gross. So I try to offer it to Charlie, and he snatches it up and slurps it down in a way perfectly fitting of a man of his caliber. He then promptly passes out until you get near the ponies. He tells us that he wants some more tea, and from here my first thought was, one cup worked, maybe he just needs more. So I gave him another cup, and the same thing happened. Now, being the intelligent person that I am, I was convinced that I needed to find a way to get 2 cups to give him at once, which led to more exploration of the apartments. Thankfully, along my journey, I decided to just talk to Larry. Sal asks Larry if he thinks that the place is haunted, and he makes it clear that he doesn't, before letting us listen to some metal from his favorite band, resulting again in some of the most heartwarming headbanging I've ever seen. God, I never thought I'd put those 2 words together. But most importantly, Larry suggested making the tea stronger, so now I had a different goal and I was back on the quest. In the restroom at Sal's home, we find sleep aid to add to the tea before making our way back to visit Charlie. I've thought a little about how awkward all this is. This slob of a man just being so casual about a kid wandering back and forth into his home. But then, he doesn't seem like one who would give much thought to, well, pretty much anything except for his ponies. He tries to deny the tea before telling us that he's had at least 20 cups today. What a man. We tell him it's a new recipe, and he just can't help himself, taking it and passing out as we grab the toy. Now we just need to let Sleeping Beauty here get his rest and go back to Larry. Larry lets us know to take it to the detective, so now we're off on our own to speak with the detective. I kind of love how Larry is the mastermind here, and Sal just happily goes along with it. The detective tells us that Larry has a criminal record, which explains why he'd stay away from the cops here. We then present the evidence to the officer, and we tell him how we found it, and he praises us before letting us know to just go to the cops next time, despite them refusing to hear us out until we did the job for them already. So now we can head outside and find that Charlie is in the cruiser, and he knows it was us, saying that he thought Sal was his friend. It's kind of sad. But then Sal looks inside the ambulance at the body of Mrs. Sanderson. I'm not sure why it wasn't moved or been given to autopsy already, but here we are. Sal is talking with Dr. Enon, his mask laying on the table. We learn that Charlie was found innocent later and released. Now, I don't see how, but who knows. Sal isn't sure it's true either. He says that he and Larry lost touch after graduation, which just made me so sad to hear. Sal seems pretty frustrated here, but Dr. Enon says that he's holding something back. It's here that Sally really wants to talk about Larry, but they're out of time. It struck me as a bit off, but now we know that he's got a trial coming up. Sal is in an orange jumpsuit and he's been accused of murder. I didn't know what was going on at this point, but that wraps up the first of the 5 chapters of the game. We just went from solving a murder as a kid to being on trial for murder as an adult. That's a hell of a cliffhanger, but thankfully I've got the whole game, so I was able to just jump ahead to chapter 2. The second chapter opens with young Sal and his mom having a picnic. There's a dog barking in the distance and Sal wants to go see the dog. His mom wants him to wait, but he's excited, and she says that they can go, but she needs to get her purse. It's a scene that fills me with mixed emotion, knowing the kind of game this is. Sal walks to the trees, and I just hope for the best. And then Sal walks out of the woods and into a parking lot, and his face is a bloody mess. There's skeletons strewn about, and he enters an ambulance. It's so surreal. And now we're talking to the woman who was killed, but she seems fine. He's here to help her with her toilet. I have no idea what's going on. She calls him Larry, and now I'm guessing that we are in a dream or something. Sal goes to check the bathroom, and the toilet is a monster. And now we've been flushed? And we're in the sewers with a monstrous pony. God, I love surreal scenes like this. Nothing here makes sense, but it's captivating. The pony needs some water, so we're off to handle this. Little things like this really take a game to another level. There's so much that feels normal and real, and then it's mixed in with things like this. Now, once we get the problem handled, we head back down to the now bloated mess that was a pony, and we just walk over it before returning to the toilet and peeking out to see the crime that took place the night before we moved in. It's horrific, and when we leave, there's footsteps leading into total darkness. Something here feels really off as old Charlie calls us over, and he turns into a monster just in time for Sal to wake up. Welcome to Chapter 2, The Wretched. Things open up now with Sal and Larry chilling in Larry's room. Sal's opening up about his nightmares and thinks that the building is part of why he's having more of them. Larry is still certain that the place isn't haunted. I'm really glad that they have him as a skeptic here, because so often it's easy for everyone in a cast to believe, and that can get old really fast. From here, Larry decides to show Sal something really special. The two head outside behind the building and they walk to a treehouse. Larry never told anyone about it, but his dad built this for him before he disappeared. This is his place to be alone from the world, and now he's sharing it with Sal. Larry never talked about his dad before, not liking to open up like that. But now, he has a friend that he can trust. He tells him that his dad just disappeared. He didn't pack his things, he was just here and then he wasn't. His mom thinks that he abandoned them, but Larry doesn't believe that his dad would have ever done that. I feel so bad for him here. Larry is clearly uncomfortable with discussing this, but he trusts Sal, and he even lets him know it. It's touching the way these two have bonded. They've both lost parents and they understand that pain. It's something that there's just no words for. There's no way to understand it unless you've lived it. This game got me thinking a lot about losing my mom years ago. It changed me, left a void, this cold pain that never fades. It sticks with you. And as we see here, Larry went through a real tough time after his dad disappeared, coming to believe that he's cursed. I can't even imagine the added pain of not knowing what actually happened. Is he out there? Is he dead? Does he miss them too? It's rough. And it's here that Larry also tells Sal about seeing a demon. The same one that we've seen before, and Sal tells him about it. He believes that it's a key to Larry feeling like he's cursed. After that, Sal checks out the treehouse and finds a picture of Larry's family. Then we find out that Sal found a weird Game Boy cartridge at some point, and it's glowing near the picture. A bit off as an exposition dump, but it sure is interesting. Sal also finds a puzzle box that was Larry's dad's and asks if he can keep a hold of it for now. Larry doesn't mind, and after that, it's time for them to head back inside. It feels really good to get moments like this with these two where they're just being open and hanging out. Now that we're inside, Sal decides to go and do some investigating. We learn that Larry's mom has been sick and Larry's been taking care of her. It's not something really relevant to the main plot, but it's a nice character development, seeing just how much Larry cares for his mom. He's been in trouble before, but it's clear that he's a good guy. Eventually, Sal gets up to the 5th floor and calls for Larry to join him. He's about to show him something incredible. Larry said he doesn't believe in ghosts, so Sally Face tries to introduce him to one of the ghosts here in the apartment that he's already met. She doesn't show up, and Sal says that he's gonna figure out how to get her to show before Larry suggests that he talks to Todd, a friend of theirs who lives in the building and is really good with tech. So now we're off to meet Todd. On the way there, I ran into David, so I thought I'd let you see the most cringe person in the game. David is a recovering addict, and thankfully he doesn't spend much time here with us, but ugh, put some pants on, man. So we get to Todd's place, and he's there with another friend of ours, Ashley, or Ash. And the introduction kind of makes it clear that Sal is attracted. She takes off for now, and Sal gets to chatting with Todd about the ghosts in the apartments, but not before Sal starts asking about Ash, showing his interest as he tries to find out more about her. Todd gets him back on track and shares his interest in the paranormal, but he's yet to see a ghost, so he's not totally sold. But he's willing to help us find ghosts and to prove their existence to him. They discuss how the small game cartridge that Sal had found glows sometimes when ghosts are near, and Todd tells Sal that he thinks he can modify his Gear Boy, yeah, Gear Boy, gotta avoid the copyrights, so that it can be a ghost hunting tool. He just needs a few things, and then we're off on a fetch quest. Yay. Along the way, we run into Miss Rosenberg. She's the oldest tenant in the building and seems focused on the end, speaking in some kind of strange ways. I'm sure that it's nothing important, of course, so we get back to finding the pieces for the Gear Boy. All of the small interactions in this game drop bits of lore to make it more immersive, and I would love to cover every bit of it, but that would make this an actual Let's Play rather than whatever my videos are. Yeah, I say they're retrospectives because, well, I believe that's the best term for what I do here, so that's that, I suppose. This is a game that, if you're watching this and I've played through it, I'm sure you know what I mean. And if you haven't played it yet, you really should, as I'm covering everything major that happens. But the game has so much value in the little things that no matter what, you need to check it out. We eventually get the pieces that we need, and Todd puts it all together. Now we've got the ghost hunting Gear Boy, and our first ghost is a crying man on the toilet named Greg. He lets us know that he had an affair with a woman named Stacy, and that her husband killed her and her daughter, and while he doesn't say, I'm assuming him as well. But the red-eyed demon keeps them all trapped in the apartments. He then flushes away in a most horrific fashion, and the two decide to split up. Todd wants to look up history on the building, while Sal goes and tests out the Gear Boy. We can also play games on it. Now, all the games are based on the ghosts that we interact with in this chapter of the game, and these give us even more glimpses into the history of the lore of the world. Like Todd here trying to find the source of crying in a building that turns into a maze. Eventually, he finds a woman and checks on her. She confirms that she's not with the church, and we discover that she is Stacy. The two seem to bond as that minigame ends, and there's several more of these in the chapter. As Sal explores the apartments, he eventually runs back into Miss Rosenberg, and as he tests the device, yeah, that happens. It's completely terrifying, and she warns him not to tamper with things that he doesn't understand. I nearly jumped out of my chair when she did that, and of course, I jumped into the next level of the game. I'm not gonna keep doing this back and forth, so this time I'll tackle the minigames here. These, all as I said before, they coincide with the spirits that you encounter with the Gear Boy. The games are simple. You just get from one place to another for the most part. But the controls are really loose for these, and you need to be precise. Now I'm sure some people get right through it, but with a keyboard, I struggled pretty bad on some of these. The different levels here unveil bits of lore that really add to the depth of the story. Like learning about the council as they recognize a new member and declare that they are the devourers of God. Or a girl searching for components for the council in a level only to be betrayed by that council and either turned into or possessed by a demon monster of some kind. And all of these stories here actually happened on some level in the world of the game. There's even one of Jim, Larry's dad, as he has to open paths to get to the exit, using a key and fading back to the main menu. Again, the minigames can be frustrating due to the controls, but they are simple and I enjoyed them. having some fun while picking up on more lore bits is something that I could do them all here. But again, I want you to play this for yourself. And if you haven't, you need to. If you already have, you know what they include. So let's go ahead and get back to the story, okay? Good, because this bit had me really rambling. We've been exploring the apartments, searching for all the ghosts that we can find, and looking for any paranormal activity, and eventually we decide to go check the treehouse. Larry hangs back as Sal heads out to investigate. I love the peaceful music outside here. And of course, there's something in the treehouse, but it's not a normal ghost. It appears differently, and Sal immediately asks if it's the spirit of Larry's dad, Jim Johnson. The words are all chopped up. He's not able to send a full message. But there's something about a red ball. I'm sure people have had time to put this together and figure out what was said, but playing through here, I had no idea except for red ball. And then he was gone. And he freaked Sally out a bit too. This game has already taken a hell of a turn with what we're seeing, and we're still in the second fifth of the game. Eventually, we return to Todd, who tells us that he's found no sign of past murders, even though we know that there were other murders in the building. Hell, the only one that's documented is Charlie. But the photo of him is a totally different person, and there's no explanation. It's a clear sign of a cover-up. There's one interesting thing that he did find beyond that. There's a missing person report of a young girl from '87, Megan Holmes. Her parents were Luke and Stacy. They were able to deduce that Megan is the girl from upstairs, and Sal recognizes her in a missing person picture. Stacy was the one with crying Greg in the bathroom. The one wrinkle is the claim in the reports that the girl was found in an accident at Wendigo Lake, nowhere near the apartments, and her parents allegedly died too in an accident. This, again, like with the fake Charlie, reeks of a cover-up. Something sinister is happening in this apartment building, maybe in this town, and these teens are gonna figure it out. Sal finds Megan's necklace and gets Larry, then summons her. She seems happy to see Sal, and Larry is freaked out. Megan doesn't mind and is still happy to meet him. Megan confirms that Greg was her mom's friend and that her dad did not like Greg. Her dad is here and he scares her. She said that they fight and her dad got really angry, but it's all a mess in her mind, like it's faded away. She does tell us that her dad used to go fishing with Larry's dad, which freaks Larry out. He asks if she knows what happened to her dad, and she has no idea, but she says that their dads used to go fishing together a lot. Now it's not much, and Larry seems pretty upset by it. We also return the necklace, and she tells us that her mom is in the bedroom and doesn't talk anymore. And she vanishes as her dad is coming and doesn't like her talking to people. Things are getting serious, and we're able to start piecing together the picture a bit here. But now we have to find a way to get into the boarded up bedroom. Larry tells us that Creepy David borrowed his mom's crowbar and hasn't returned it. So we're off to visit that absolute wonder of a weirdo. He tells us that he can't help us because he's using it to prop up a shelf. He says that the kids next door play their music and it shakes the shelf. It's a weird situation, but now Sal has to meet the neighbors and try to quiet them down because video games. But seriously, these tropes in games can be endearing or frustrating, and here they seem fun to me. We get them to throw the lamest party possible, and somehow these college students seem happy with it, playing simple games and listening to soft music. Phew, how times change. Now we just have to go back and get the crowbar. Thankfully, he just hands it to us now and we don't have to go inside his home. At least for now. But hell, we're searching for ghosts, so we'll head inside anyways and meet his girlfriend, the upper half of a mannequin. And oh no. Okay, on closer inspection, they are married. Neat. After that adventure, Sal takes the crowbar and rushes upstairs to get the door open. He makes short work of the boards and heads inside, summoning Megan's mom, and holy shit, she's stuck in a mattress. This is disturbing to say the least, and she doesn't speak, looking like she's in extreme pain before disappearing. We explore the room and Sal finds a hole into another room, so of course we head inside with no idea what we're gonna find. But before we did head in there, I decided to try opening the box that we got from Larry's dad's belongings out in the treehouse. And inside was a chip. So I took the chip to Larry and he doesn't know what to do with it. We do what makes sense for us and we take it to Todd to check out since he's the computer guy. Todd is interested and decides to hook it up to his computer and try it out. And it bonds to his motherboard. Creepy as it overwhelms the screen and Sal ends up in the void. We have some backward speech and we're told not to be afraid and everything will be revealed. Then we reappear outside Todd's room. When we come back in, Todd has no idea what we're talking about now. No memory of a computer chip. This may be the point in the game where things have changed the most drastically. And instead of the box that we had before, we've got a Rubik's Cube and no idea where it came from. Sal heads to Larry to talk to him because this doesn't add up, and Larry talks about the cube but doesn't remember a box at all. Something big has changed here. Sal's at a loss and decides that now's the time to head back upstairs and into the hole. Because at this point, why not? Inside, he sees a noose and is sent into the game to play the final chapter. Here you're Luke, and he's confused about where he is, but has his mission. He's told the woman is a threat, and he goes on his mission again. Also, the crazy slippery controls made this a frustrating time. And in the next room, we're told that the child is a problem, referencing his wife and daughter. Whatever this is, it's something terrible that's happening. Eventually, he gets to the end, setting a fire where his likeness had been. And when he enters the fire, we see him hanging there in the room with us now. And he turns into the red-eyed demon. Now he's about to attack Sal when things go weird across the screen and Larry shows up. He says he has an invention from Todd that was able to kill or at least run off the demon. It doesn't make much sense, but it's a wild story and the demon seems to be gone, at least for now. So for what it's worth, that is a major plus. And then Sal realizes that Larry isn't okay. Through all of this, he's deduced that his dad really did abandon them. and seeing him crying and Sal hugging him broke my heart. Now we're at the end of our time with Dr. Enon. This is their last session and Sal wants to tell him more, swearing that he's told the truth, even though it doesn't make much sense. Dr. Enon doesn't know how to feel here. The story is so wild, but Sal begs him to just go to the treehouse. The guards here clearly believe that Sal is a monster, but the doctor isn't convinced. So he drives out to that old treehouse. The apartments are in ruins now, boarded up and condemned. Now we're in control of the doctor and he walks out back to the treehouse, climbing up into it to see what Sal said was so important. He searches the place, but nothing special stands out to him. He starts to get frustrated and he's about to leave when Larry appears as a ghost. He tells Enon that they have to get Sal back here, trying to calm the doctor down, but the horrified Dr. Enon falls from the treehouse and Larry sums it up with one word. As we find that the one man who could help Sal died falling from the tree. All alone, nobody to help him. And then we see a bouncing or flickering red ball before light envelops us, leaving Sal in the void again. He's confused and the voice tells Sal to find him in the White Room. It's the Phantom again, and while we can't see it all, he warns us not to talk about this place to the others. An unsettling situation. We then see some weird devices as the Phantom tells us that the only one who believed us is dead now, and then tells us to run. Now we have some decisions to make here. There's a monster chasing us and we can just run from it and head inside the empty door, but if we do, it changes the world for the worst, as we find envelopes in the world and they turn up empty. However, if we can solve the puzzle, we'll get closer to finding the truth, so it's worth it to put the extra effort in to get inside the actual door. Now inside we see the Phantom again, and he gives us a series of numbers that are pretty important to write down for later. It's all cryptic, but also as we see the close-up, the Phantom shows a bit more of its face and it does look a lot like Larry's dad. Now we're inside a weird phone booth world, putting the numbers in and just trying to hurry up and solve this before we run out of time. And then we heard that they are counting on Sal and that he has 73 hours left. No idea what that actually means, but we're off now with a journal that we otherwise wouldn't have had. Now Sal is with the reporter and we learn that he's chosen to represent himself, which I guess makes sense seeing how it seems like about everyone in this world is part of a conspiracy against him. Sal says he's going to share the truth, and it seems like whatever he initially had told them wasn't the truth, though he refuses to comment. So we don't really know what's going on, but it's clearly not good. Sal here looks different. He's been carrying a heavy burden for a long time, and his demeanor is of someone who's running out of hope. We know now that Larry is gone, but we don't know what happened. Or if they're saying Sal did that too. I mean, we just don't know. But then they jump to a story about Sal not liking lunch meat as the lead-in to Chapter 3, the bologna incident. And that story starts with a stick man on a piece of paper. The art here is some of my favorite in the game. It's so simple, but as someone who constantly drew in my notebooks back in school, seeing this imagination running wild as the little stick drawing took on personality is just a lot of fun. The one that you're controlling is the most generic stick person possible, and somehow is the freak among the others. But he's exploring. There's a story about a great beast, and he works his way down the page before seeing the Prophet, a blue ink sketch where we learn that they created a hole in the universe and the stickman goes off in search of it, where it destroys him. Then Sal wakes up and the dream makes even more sense. Dreaming of the doodles on his notebook as they form a story, and a blonde boy is giving Sal the dirtiest looks. Sal's already finished the test that they're all taking, and then the class ends. Travis, the blonde kid, confronts Sal, trying to bully him. And Sal is completely unimpressed, which, given he's taken on a demon, isn't that far-fetched. We then learn that Sal can use his words just as viciously as Travis, leading to Travis punching him and storming off. Now, Sal says he's fine, but Ash sees him bleeding and uses a bandana of hers to help with the blood, moving in closer as Sal tries to protest. She removes the mask and looks shocked, but then smiles reassuringly and helps him with the scratch. It's a heartwarming scene, seeing her accepting him and turning out to be a really good friend. Then Larry comes out ready to kill Travis. Man, to have friends like this who will kill for you, it's clear how strong their bond is. Sal, of course, is the voice of reason, and it slips out that Travis loves bologna day at school, which, ugh. I totally agree with Sal about hating that particular meat. And yes, I use meat in air quotes. We then jump to lunchtime, and they are all discussing how awful the lunch meat is. The four are there with Chug, who we've seen in the apartments as he lives there too, and a girl named Maple. It's nice to see more side characters as their friends. The four break off and start concocting a plan to figure out just what is in that food substance. Again, using the term food loosely. During this adventure, they find out that the lunch lady, who in and of herself is a sight to behold, loves birds. And after giving her a picture of a bird, she tells us that our teacher provides all beef bologna from her farm. Now the odd thing is, she lives in the apartments with us, and that is most certainly not a farm. Before we wrap up our school day, Sal makes a stop in the restroom and finds a crumpled note on the floor before he hears crying in a stall. The note is a love letter, but the person writing it believes that their feelings are wrong. It's a sweet and sad letter, and it's incomplete, but given Travis's father is the pastor at the local church, another small detail that we pick up through the game, there's an easy conclusion, and we find Travis crying in a stall. Sal speaks with him and actually manages to get Travis to open up to him. Travis says that Sal and his friends are all gay, so he hates them. And Sal's response just kills me. You know, we aren't actually all gay, right? I mean, besides for Todd. Todd is super gay. That casual blurb cracks me up every time I play through the game. But this story shows us more of just what a kind and genuinely nice guy Sal is as he manages to get through to Travis. See, Travis doesn't know what to do with someone like Sal being nice to him. Sally Face doesn't think Travis is a bad person, and Travis admits that he doesn't actually hate them, and even apologizes. It's one of the best scenes of the game, and one that just shows that even in a messed up world like this, there's hope. After meeting up again and discussing the bologna, Sal and Larry go check the teacher's desk, finding a hidden compartment with another box similar to the one that is apparently now a Rubik's Cube. And then Sal is brought into the void again with a bunch of letters that I couldn't figure out. But then he pops back in and Larry checks on him before they regroup in the lab. There's no chemicals or anything in this mystery meat, but it's still messed up. So now the plan has been modified. They're going to sneak into Miss Packerton's home and see what's going on in there. Now there's some downtime here so Sal can explore where we can mess up his dad's computer and find a picture of his mom. It's a brief but emotional moment where Sal reads a letter from his mom being so excited about being pregnant with Sal. This moment made me think of my own mom, and while it was brief, it choked me up a bit, and I imagine it did the same to Sal. During this point, we can explore, catch up with ghosts, and we get the chance to speak with the lady who was killed when we move in. We also find that Megan's mom is talking to her some now, but her dad is gone. So that means that the demon, fortunately, hasn't shown up again. It's nice to get the chance to just explore, finding things like flowers being given to Larry's mom Lisa by Henry, Sal's dad. But we've got a lot of ground to cover, and the game just gets wilder as we go. Though, if we visit Miss Rosenberg again and we try using the Gear Boy, she changes into an Eldritch horror again and then vanishes, leaving an envelope with a page from the journal that we picked up. Now there are several other ways and places to find these pages, but hers was absolutely the one worth mentioning, as we maybe killed someone or sent a spirit back? Oh, we did something for sure, and now we move back to the story. We get to the others and find Todd is working on a device for Sal's guitar, but that's not really ready yet. Todd has hacked the cameras in the building to keep Sal and Larry from being detected as they head off to Packerton's home. The place stinks inside, and they want to search in a hurry. And it looks fairly mundane at first, but they find a lock on the freezer door. Larry opens it, and yeah, a goat's head. We can then actually summon the goat, which is terrifying as it gives us a really interesting clue for another puzzle. They then have to work to get the locked bedrooms open. And once we get into the first one, we find Mr. Packerton strapped to a bed and on life support. It's an absolutely terrifying and disgusting scene as we see a trash can overflowing with diapers and start to really understand the terrible, terrible smell. This is truly the stuff of nightmares, and I felt sick to my stomach playing through here. Sal uses the Gear Boy, and the spirit of Mr. Packerton begs them to end things for him. He's a prisoner here, and he's desperate to be freed from this torment. So Sal does as he asks, unplugging the machine. It's a really terrible situation. But what do you do? Let the man stay there being tormented, or let him finally see peace? And then someone enters the apartment. Larry and Sal are convinced that this is the end, and they try to hide. And when someone walks into the room, Larry does his best to protect Sal. Before they realize it's Ash. It's nice here to see how protective Larry is of his friend, though. And we still have one more room to explore. They head into the second bedroom to find a slaughterhouse operation. Blades and wicked tools are all over, as well as missing person reports and more. As they search, they find another freezer filled with bits of people. Larry just loses it on the floor, and the other two look on in horror. It's terrifying, and Larry loses it a second time before they decide that they need to go get help. This is way too much for a couple teens to deal with. But they also know that they can't trust the cops. It's a really, really bad situation. But we know how she's making her bologna now, at least, right? Now we're back to the interviewer, who wants to know more and doesn't seem to believe him, but is still fascinated by the story. Sal thinks that continuing is pointless because somehow what comes next is even more out there. But when the journalist brings up Todd, he's able to convince Sal to open up and continue the story. Sal just wants to know how his friend is doing. So, as I said, he agrees, and now we get back into this crazy story. Ash finds a trash chute behind the farm painting, but they know this place doesn't have trash chutes. She tries to look, but she ends up falling down the chute, leaving them to panic. They have to figure out where she is. Sal wants to go down after her, but Larry's afraid, saying that he could land on her and hurt her if he falls too, which is a really good point. After that, we're brought back into the void for some more letters that I couldn't put together. And there may be a way to get those figured out, but I didn't do it here. Either way, Sal seems to know where to go. Larry and Todd help him move a shelf in the basement to an apartment that has been long since forgotten and abandoned. And they search inside, eventually finding a trap door to a lower level beneath the apartments. So now they rush down and try to find and hopefully rescue Ash. Now it's clear why Sal didn't think they'd believe this, as they find an underground temple with the words, "May our sight pierce the heavens and our reach be infinite and everlasting," carved into the stone. This place looks ancient, a temple for a cult, for demon worship, and somehow, here was their friend Ash, trapped inside, hopefully still alive. They split up and begin the search, moving through this disturbing building. The entire feeling of the game shifted for me once we got here. There were mentions of a cult, but now we see that it's not just some small group that hang out in the cemetery. This is something big. And after some searching, they find the inner chamber where the doorway has the words, "For we are the devourers of God," carved above it. The completion of the first bit on the other doorway. There's heaps of bones at the base of multiple chutes, and we find Ash. She's breathing, but unconscious. We're able to get her up, and thankfully, she's okay. The pile of bones broke her fall, I guess. They are relieved to have found her, but this kind of discovery here is a thing that people don't just get to walk away from. They head back quickly to Todd by the gate and get out of there. Now, Ash is right. They can't just ignore all of this, but they don't know what to do. There's a potentially massive cult operating here, and they're just kids. They know that they need to stop Mrs. Packerton, though. We then jump back to the interview and find out that Packerton died in an accident on her drive home, so there was no need to report her. And as the journalist said, that's awfully convenient. The bodies and everything were covered up, of course, and the journalist promises that this will be aired in full and lets us know that Ash is being called to testify against the Sally Face Killer. And as he reads the headline, teardrops fall onto the paper before Sal crumbles it. I just felt so bad for him. We then find out that Todd is in a hospital and is unresponsive. Getting even worse, he's in a padded room and they say that he wants to die. This is all just tragic. My heart breaks for Sal. We see what a sweet and loving person he is, but he and his friends have apparently gone through hell, as we see with Todd as the chapter comes to a close. Now we're into chapter 4, and things are about to actually get dark. The chapter opens with Sal standing outside the apartments with his guitar as horrifying images come into view and we hear sirens approaching. And now, Sal wakes up. His place is a mess, and as he walks, he enters an old gate into darkness. Now we have chalk drawing Sal and some doors. The final door does not want to be opened, very clearly. So, we keep moving until we meet Beelzebub. He wants us to check out the doors and admire his art before he lets us keep going. So now we're off to see the demon's wonders. This place has some really strange visuals, and while I enjoyed it, it wasn't a moment that really stood out to me. But each chapter has these introductions that help set the tone. Though to be honest, nothing could really set the tone for what happens in chapter 4. There are some lore implications, like a woman that seems to be burning in the dark, but eventually we're allowed to go forward through door 6. There, Sal turns on a TV and we're brought to the puzzle for this chapter, finding VHS tapes that document a woman trapped in a room and slowly degrading into something far, far darker. But for now, we're on to the chapter. Things pick up in Sal's room, but this isn't the Addison apartments. He's moved into a house with Todd, and Larry is supposed to be moving in soon. It's nice that they have gotten away from that rotten place, where I'm sure that the mold in so many of those abandoned rooms, well, let's just say if the ghosts hadn't taken them, the mold eventually would have. Now this is where we meet Neil, Todd's boyfriend. He's a little older than us, but he seems like a really nice guy. He's aware of their ghost hunting, but he's held at distance from it for his own safety. The change in Sal's appearance here too keeps things fresh. We've jumped ahead, so he's older now, and he's let his hair down, not bothering with the ponytails anymore. And to be honest, even though from what I've seen it may not be the most popular feeling with the fandom, I prefer this look for Sal. After speaking with Neil, Sal heads out to the shed in the back. We find his cat Gizmo in the basement, and I can't believe I haven't mentioned this cat before. Gizmo is the best of good boys. The absolute goodest. And he has put up pictures of several YouTubers on the wall. But rather than trying to go through all that, we are already really deep in this game. Sal gets into the shed and we see the entire operation they have set up. Sal then picks up a tape and we can see a bit more of the woman trapped in the TV in a room. It's a pretty disturbing section of the game. From here though, we head back inside and into Sal's room, where I only just noticed the My Neighbor Totoro image. God, that makes me so happy to see. The way their house is decorated is perfect for the time. I love seeing the GameCube as Sal is checking the news, finding out about a massive mill fire that's almost a total loss. They suspect foul play, which just adds to the feeling that things are getting pretty bad in the town. We then get some more nostalgia as Larry texts Sal. And before we can get further, a gavel made me jump out of my chair as we move to the trial. Apparently, this story is far different from Sal's original story, but Sal explains that he was convinced that nobody would believe the truth and he was in shock, which will make sense. He says he only has the truth now, nothing else. He's clearly lost everything. The rips in his outfit show that he's having a tough time there in the jail. And it is heartbreaking seeing somebody so sweet in this situation. They're letting Sal give his testimony, which had me ready to strangle the prosecutor when he tried to twist Sal's words. Just let the man tell his side. Now, I was happy that the judge is going to let him talk, and I knew already that this chapter was about to be a doozy. We head back to Larry and Sal on the porch of their new home. Larry says that all the ghosts have been missing, and despite Sal trying to be optimistic, it gave Larry a bad feeling. He described it as the calm before the storm. And yeah, that feeling can be even worse than whatever a storm holds sometimes. But perhaps not in this case. The two walk back over to the apartments to investigate, and Larry talks about being excited to finish moving and finally be out of the apartments. They finally seem to be getting away from that terrible place, but unfortunately, we know that's not how things work out. The what ifs and what could have beens flooded my mind here, imagining if they had just gotten away, moved far from this place and continued their lives, hanging out listening to music and just not the terrors that I knew would be coming up soon. Even the sky was darkening around the apartments. Sal and Larry checked out the empty apartment next to Mr. Addison's. Larry had apparently gone through the boxes, curious since Mr. Addison never leaves his apartment. There wasn't much here, so we kept going. Mr. Addison was home and chipper as usual, and it felt nice to talk to him as he seemed so happy for the two to be getting out of there. We also learned that Mr. Addison believes that Mrs. Rosenberg is on a vacation or something, allegedly. Also, we learned that she had been in the cult but tried to stop them at some point. Sal was convinced that she wasn't fully human, and then Sal found a tooth and snatched it up. Yeah, that's a fun bit for this chapter. Collecting teeth. We'll get there. Megan and her mother are both gone, and so is Megan's necklace. Something is very wrong here. And as they explore, the feeling of foreboding just grows stronger. Eventually we run into Mr. Sanderson. His wife is the one who was killed when Sal first moved in. He's getting ready to leave, but was coming back to see his wife one last time. Which goes to add to the idea that some of the others here have seen the ghosts. I feel bad for the guy. I didn't even realize he existed. But coming back to the place where his wife was killed, that's pretty intense. He asks them for a moment alone, so we step outside and continue searching. Sal and Larry head back to Sal's dad's place, and I was happy to see a photo of the four of them together, which is also interesting seeing Sal in a yellow dress with his hair up. I didn't even notice this the first time I played through, but given the trauma he's experienced, it was great to see that he's confident enough to express himself however he wishes, and that the family were all clearly supportive since they included him dressed this way in the family photo. It may just be a subtle thing, but with the way this world is today, any sign towards people being open and accepting of others is one that I welcome. And it's a strong contrast to the terrible upbringing of Travis, who we saw earlier was torn about his own sexuality and morality thanks to a hardlined father who was a respected pastor, but well, spoiler, is a high-ranking member of an evil cult. Big shock there. Anyways, this video is already a lot longer than I ever expected, so let's just keep moving. There's a lot of things that I could cover. I could more than double the length of this video from this point now in the story just to the end. But I'd rather, if you haven't played it, see you play it. And if you have, you know, and despite my typical video length, I do respect your time, so let's keep going. Larry and Sal are invited over for dinner that evening before taking off to keep searching the apartments. In one of my favorite scenes, we find that Chug and Maple have gotten together and have a child. Their little girl Soda was so excited to see Uncle Sally face. It's really heartwarming to see this, and that these kids have grown up and stayed close friends. Chug's parents moved out and left the apartment for him and his family. Sal checking on Soda made me smile as Sorry, I got a little choked up there. It made me smile though, as she wanted to ride on his shoulders. And she couldn't now, but they promised her next time, as she had a rash. And it made me feel this odd optimism for the gang. And then we moved on. Sal and Larry keep up the hunt, and sure enough, none of the ghosts are here. It's weird. The apartments feel too normal. And in one comedic bit, we find that Todd's parents have turned his room into a garden. And his mom is on another planet while sitting on the couch. It's fun bits like this that help add so much more to just the actual feeling of realness and life in these kind of games. Down in Larry's place, the two discuss the changes in their lives and how they've grown closer over the years. The way they reminisce here brings back memories with my own friends from over the years as the two head out to the old treehouse. Out there, Larry calls out Sal for holding something back. And then Sal opened up and told him about being contacted by his dad. He knew he shouldn't. He'd been told this, but he opened up about his beliefs that Larry's dad wasn't human. He just couldn't keep these secrets from Larry, who understandably didn't believe him and then insisted on dropping the topic. I felt so bad for Larry here. I mean, he knew that Sal wouldn't just make this up, but it was not something that he was really capable of just accepting. And the walk back inside in silence felt really uncomfortable. Eventually, we learned that the teeth collected in this chapter were to open up something in the bird cage upstairs, giving off really weird Resident Evil vibes. But then the cage started to glow and they found the missing key to the temple. The two headed back down to check out the old temple, getting a really weird feeling. The decision was made to come back later with Todd so they could be more thorough. They also then said that Ash was coming back into town and would be there today. The two discussed meeting up again tonight for dinner and then choose to part ways. After that, we jump to Ash arriving at Sal's. She and Sal seem so genuinely happy to see each other again. Sal then jumps on the bike with Ash and they take off to the lake together. This is one of my favorite scenes in the entire game. These two have been close for a long time, and seeing them getting some time alone like this just felt right. The two catch up while staring out on the lake, discussing Ash's family as Sal tells her that he doesn't remember her ever crying. Sal then opens up about having nightmares lately, and he's had this feeling of dread even though things seem to be going great for him. He's struggling and is thankfully able to talk about it here with Ash, and she tells him that he doesn't have to wear the mask around her. Now that statement meant so much. The trust that they have with each other and the way they feel. Yeah. Also, we find out that Ash is moving back to the area. It felt like things are really looking up for all four of them. The crew are grown up now and moving forward with their lives. Sal's dad is finally moving on with Larry's mom. For all the chaos that we have seen in this world, things feel like they're finally starting to work out. But Ash is worried about Sal, who says he feels off. He knows something isn't right, but he can't put it together, and he just wants to scream. So, Ash suggests that they go ahead and do just that. I love that they shared this moment. We return to the house with Sal and Todd, with Todd calling it a date. The two chat for a little bit about the benefits of having Ash back with them, and then discuss heading to the apartment later with Larry to check the place out. Then we get it. A text from Larry. I read this and felt like I was being stabbed in the heart. We know from earlier that Larry died, but this, I don't know what I was expecting, but not this, not Larry. Sal running across town to get to his best friend had my heart tied in a knot. He rushed inside and searched, but Larry wasn't there. The place was empty as Sal ran frantically searching. He rushed out to the treehouse, and the game fades as Sal is screaming at Larry. Writing this and now reading it, I'm sorry, I'm tearing up again. Damn it. fucking hard. Mental health is a bitch. Depression, it can destroy in ways that you just can't understand unless you experienced it. The game jumps to Ash giving her statement, but I just can't jump off this. Larry ending things himself broke my heart. Even writing the script hurt, and I delayed this part to avoid tackling it. But losing a friend, having a friend reach out to you before something like this, it's horrible. My heart aches for Larry, but it's shattered for Sal. We learned that Ash went to the treehouse and to Sal, but Sal wasn't himself. He seemed broken, traumatized. She was worried about him. Then we get back to Sal. Todd showed up shortly after Ash left, and Sal told him what happened. This stretch is hard, and if someone were to choose to put the game down here, I could totally understand why. We then jump to the two in the treehouse, and Todd gives Sal a new device that works with his guitar to mess with the spirit realm. It's insane, but we needed something like this, anything to add some levity. Sal plays the guitar, trying the device out, when suddenly he's greeted by the ghost of Mrs. Rosenberg. Sal is stunned as she speaks about a prophecy and that he has to stop the cult. She says that Sal has to act now and that she will release Larry's spirit to join them. We then find out that the cult is hard at work as Sal is transported to the roof. He runs into Larry there, who looks awful. He apologizes and says that he's here to help. Now, in the midst of all of this, we have to work our way down through the apartment building. There is a massive obelisk placed there by the cult, and we can use the guitar and Larry's help to interact with this thing to make it down through the apartment building. It's wild watching the two working together, seeing the contrast between our world and the spirit world through Larry's eyes. The residents of the building are trapped by an evil force, their spirits being corrupted by it. But before we go forward, we see Larry's note that he left for Sal. Normally, I would gloss over this bit, and a big part of me wants to. But if you've made it this far, you understand how special the game is. So with respect to the game, the story, and its creator, I'm going to read the letter in its entirety. Sal, I know this is going to be hard for you to understand. I'm sorry. Please don't blame yourself, and please don't hate me. I was lucky to have you in my life. I couldn't have asked for a better brother than you, dude. I know you're gonna do great things. You gotta keep going. Keep fighting the darkness. It's coming closer now. I can hear it whispering in my head. It's getting louder. I just need this to end. I can't take it anymore. I'm not strong like you are. I love you, Sally Face. Always. See you on the other side. Larry. I could talk about the game details here, because it's incredible. The darkness that they're fighting is what took Larry as well. The two work together to take the darkness from their friends and family here. But playing through all this, I felt numb. Larry, this loss hit me harder than a typical video game death. I thought back to my friend Brandon, how close we used to be. And I realize now, working on this, that I've now lived more of my life without him as a part of it than I did with him in my life. And that hurts. And I'd love to change that. He's still around. I mean, there's a chance for that to rebuild. Sal, he somehow got to get this last time working with Larry. And while this is awesome seeing the two together fighting this evil, it hurts knowing that this final mission is it. And they fight their way down to the first floor. The residents all basically catatonic, and only slightly better once we defeat the evil that's holding on to them. The one person here I will mention is Mr. Sanderson. We find him laying dead with a gun. He just couldn't take the idea of moving on without his wife. And now, knowing that on this night, the darkness has taken a hold on everyone here, he was just another victim of the darkness. And there's still more to come. When we reach the ground floor, Sal finally goes into Mr. Addison's apartment, checking on the man in charge of the complex. And well, this evil has taken Mr. Addison fully now, consumed by an evil monster with multiple hands. How many have been taken? It's terrifying. And Sal takes a stand. He's not willing to give up as he uses the power of his guitar to do battle with the beast. This is the first real battle or boss fight of the game, using combos to take out the creature in what is easily the most metal moment I think I've ever experienced in a video game. It's exhilarating and added some extra oomph to this chapter. Sal is able to take out his pain and suffering on the creature, destroying it with music, which I have to admit, saying that actually makes me smile. Once it dies, Sal ends up back in the void, speaking with Terrence Addison. He learns that there is one more task to end this, and here we find out the painful truth. Sal is told that he has to kill everyone who has been tainted by the dark. And that means every person in the building. Sal tries to argue. He says they've already saved them. But Terrence tells him that their souls are already destroyed and they won't ever recover. There's no way to actually save them here. It's terrifying, and Sal is so reluctant that if they aren't dealt with, they will spread the darkness. So it has to end here. No more suffering. It can't continue. Sal's heart is breaking as this discussion goes on. And after struggling, he's left in the void, and the only choice is to pick up the knife. Then, the Phantom appears again, apologizing to Sal, but telling him that yes, this is the only way. Now, we go through the most horrifying section of the game. And if you don't want to watch this bit, I totally understand. I hope I'm able to actually put this up without having to do massive editing. So if you see that, it's not me, it's YouTube. Sal has to destroy people that he cares about. He's known them all for years. His friends, and many of them, show concern for Sal as he approaches. Their guards down because it's good old Sal. And then he goes to Chug and Soda. Soda is excited to ride on his shoulders. Then it's over. The toddler and her dad, gone. Sal's expression is always hidden in the mask, but I feel like there's no way that his heart isn't breaking during all of this. And Soda, that one hurt bad. Then, right off the back of that, Sal sees Lisa and his dad, who tells him how proud of him he is, and he loves him. This really hurt. I've got my own struggles and a really rough relationship with my dad. I have for years. And hearing the positive words, knowing what Sal had to do, crushed me. And only afterward, I started to think of the one big tell here. The one thing that helped me not be completely destroyed. They were told about Sal being in a bad state by Ash, but they didn't say a word about Larry. No asking where he was, and it just seems kind of weird. And then it really occurred to me that that happened with him on this same night. Sal had to go through all of this alone. Sal goes to leave and sees Todd there. He looks rough. He tells us that he was attacked, tied up, and they took some of his blood. It's crazy, but now he has the red eyes. We've only seen those with the demon. He thinks that it was there too. Todd looks terrible and thinks that he's dying. Then, we hear sirens. Someone called the police. Ash? She says Todd called her and he was crying, and he ran into the woods. Bits of this just don't quite feel right to me. But really, nothing that's just happened feels right. It's awful. Ash tells the jury that Sal isn't evil, he just needs help. And then, Dr. Enon is questioned, but it's clearly not him. Similar, but again, clearly not the same man. I felt sick to my stomach seeing him there and listening to his words. This was a nightmare. And nobody seemed to care at all about the deception. And I knew things were about to take an even worse turn. And when this fraud said that Sal was a threat to the public, I genuinely wanted to smash my PC. Thankfully, I was able to somehow stay calm as we reached the verdict. This verdict was a foregone conclusion, but I didn't see the sentencing coming down this way. I was as shocked as Ash was, and before I could really put together what's going on, we're pushed ahead. Ash tried to prevent the execution for 3 years, doing all she could to try and save Sal. And we pick up close to the execution date, with her summoning Larry to try to help her. He looks confused about how he can help, and she snaps a picture of the ghost. It was a wild moment, but she had proof that Larry's ghost was real. Proof that Sal's story was true. I felt my heart racing as she rushed back to try and save Sal while he was being walked to his execution. Seeing her banging on the door as she holds up the picture was heartbreaking. And of course, they didn't listen to her. They didn't care. Just like so many other scenes in this chapter, this crushed me. I was angry, sad. I felt a deep pain that isn't usually reserved for video game deaths. But here I was. And now, we move into the final chapter, picking up with Ash in the cemetery. There was no special opening game like with Sal in the other chapters. Just Ash alone at night, visiting the grave of Sally Face. Ash went to visit Neil. He's aware of the cult now. He knows what's going on, and he and Ash have been planning revenge on them. They have C4 ready to blow their temple away. While going through the house, Ash finds a picture of Larry and his grandma, and he looks so sad. It was after his dad disappeared, so I understand that look, feeling alone, confused, and feeling rejected. She visits Sal's room where Gizmo had been staying since the execution, and now it's time to get to work. There are, of course, small puzzles here, just as in the other chapters, but that's for you to discover. In the basement, we find Maple in a cage. They found her, but she's gone basically insane and aggressive, so they have her here for her own safety. Another tragedy, as she too lost everything. Ash returns to the cemetery with some pyramids, and she hopes that they can help her in some way. But nothing happens, so she opens up, showing a conversation that she had with Larry. They believe that the pyramids are part of a prophecy to destroy the cult, and Sal is the key. From here, Larry talks about needing to be free of the treehouse, and then I notice the gas can. He's managed to get Ash to agree to burn the treehouse down, hoping that that will free him so he can actually help them. Wanting to just escape from this prison. Seeing the burning tree made me even more emotional. Everything that we've seen and come to care about is being taken away as time moves forward. Ash returns to find Neil's missing. They were supposed to go together, so this is definitely not good. She searches the house for him, but he's not there. And as she's searching for Neil, she realizes that Maple has torn through the cage that they were keeping her safe in, and she hears the front door open. Ash finds a note saying that the cult has the two, advising her on where to plant the C4. Now we have no idea who left it, but at this point, anything helps. Ash sneaks into the temple beneath the church and checks the map to see the location. It's easy, at least for me, to get lost here. She heads through the place, sneaking past cultists to plant the C4. Once the charges are placed, she finds Neil in a cell. He tells her that Maple and Todd are both here too, but he's not sure exactly where. But something big is about to happen with the cult. He also warns that Todd and Maple are too far gone now, and as they're arguing about what to do, one of the cultists rushes over, spotting Ash. It's Travis. He's trying to get her to leave, and he looks so rough, like he's been through hell. He's convinced that they can't escape and doesn't want Ash to die like Sal. It's a wild change of heart, but maybe Sal really did get through to him those years ago. Travis manages to help Ash escape, and she didn't blow the place because of their friends. Again, I understand how hard it can be. She's lost so many already. Ash returns to the cemetery as we get properly into episode 5, the final chapter. Now we're in control of a broken, distorted Sal. He's told that he has to find his balance by a voice from the light, as the dark tells him to push harder and reach his full potential. It's an interesting conversation, and Sal seems pretty confused, trying to understand it before just giving up on dealing with the voices. He walks along and into a house in the void, finding Larry's dad there in the home. Jim Johnson, or whatever he is now. It's weird. He's a mess, but he's still there, still fighting the cult. He's trying to help Sal to stop the cult for good. Jim assures him that he's the key to taking down the cult and gets him to push forward. He has to put his soul back together, so Sal is off to find a way to resurrect himself. An interesting spin on the story. Sal then enters a door where Henry and a young Sal are talking with a doctor, and Sal has his kitten, Gizmo. This is Sal finally getting to go home after the tragedy that resulted in his facial damage and his mother's death. And now, we're in a cartoon universe. This cheerful Sal was upsetting to look at least at first. The smile and big vacant eyes. But he's searching now to find the first pyramid. Toon Sal has to solve some light puzzles here to get the pyramid, and once he does, we're back to the real world as Ash is woken up by a nightmare and heads back to the cemetery. And here she finds Sal's skeleton above the grave as he whispers, telling her about the pyramids, trying to communicate as one of them is lit up now, and she's able to use the guide to unlock the pyramid. Seeing some flesh appear on Sal's bones. Creepy stuff, but now we're back in the house in the void, and Sal is searching for the next pyramid. The game then jumps to young Sal and his dad in a car. He's excited to see his mom, and Henry is really upset, telling Sal that his mom is dead. It's horrible how he's acting with him. His own anger and guilt and pain driving his responses. They're both suffering, and Sal refuses to believe that his mom is dead. And then we're into a new world, a simplified 3D polygon world, and we're searching for another pyramid. I really enjoy how the game has built to this finale, seeing the various art styles representing different realities. It keeps things moving forward and fresh, and makes it easier to forget all the tragedy that we'd experienced in the last chapter. And this made me think. This game was released over years, and I played it over weeks. I wonder how different this all felt to those of you who stuck with it for years, waiting ages sometimes between the releases. I wish I was a part of it back then, but I'd rather be late to the party than miss it entirely. Eventually, Sal finds the pyramid, and Ash is able to solve the puzzle to activate it, which leads to Sal coming closer to himself. And then we're back in the house. Sal is so close now. Jim tells him that his soul may be forever separated, and that this lets him drift between the two worlds. It's what makes him so dangerous to the cult. It's a weird and complicated situation, but we have to keep pushing forward. Sal enters another door, and we see his mom with him, getting him ready for school. He's nervous about going, and she reassures him. It's heartwarming as she is so loving, showing us happier times in his life before tragedy ever began to plague him. This scene had me in tears before we're dropped into a Tim Burton-esque world and sent into a cave to search for the third pyramid. There's some cave paintings and a woman who seems really nervous as she questions Sal. The cave paintings tell of a beast who used to hunt here, another strange throwback to the cult's origins it seems. But we've got to keep searching. The sooner Sal is brought back, the better. Thankfully, it doesn't take too long to find the pyramid. Now, Sal tells her that his body can't be revived, He's confused about it all, but he wants Ash to keep pushing forward. Knowing that he won't be fully back left me really deflated. I wanted to see him back to his old self. Sal didn't deserve what's been done to him. Hell, none of these people did. But now Sal is charged up, and Ash reads another part of her notes and decides that it means that she needs to give her life for Sal's. He begs her not to, as she does what she thinks she has to for him. Then the pyramids disappear and lightning strikes Ash. It seems like all is lost as it fades to black, and Sal is back with the voices. We see flashbacks of him and Larry watching a movie, and Sal asks him if he thinks anyone could ever love him. Larry tells Sal that he's perfect. Then we get to Todd and Sal, as Todd asks if Neil can move in with them, and Sal is in full support. Just more signs of what a good person Sal is. Then Ash teaching him art. They're both so caring and kind towards each other. Now, Sal sees a pile of bodies of the people that he's lost. It's a terrible sight, and he's told to find the power of the Blade of Osiris, whatever that means. And we're back to Ash, waking up. She somehow survived, even if heavily damaged, and her arm begins to glow. Sal is now with her, and is powering her arm. It's wild, but it shows that they aren't giving up just yet. Now, it's time for the two to deal with the cult and finish the story. Ash and Sal work much like Larry and Sal had in the apartments, with Sal moving in the spirit world to open the path, and when he enters a door to get to work, we see Claymation Sal. Probably the most disturbing visual in the game for me, but also one of the most incredible. I love the changes in art here. It keeps each small puzzle feeling unique and special, and shows that this world has its own layered universe. There were small colored pieces that you found in the chapter that allow us to open a hidden door here, door 5. And once you get the puzzle solved, we get to see the horrific tragedy that started everything for Sal. He and his mother are out for a picnic, and he sees a man in a wolf's hood with a gun. The man shoots his mother, and his face is caught in the blast. She saved him. And as he talked to her, I could feel my heart breaking again. Now, we're back to Clay World, and Sal has to solve some puzzles here to open access for Ash in the temple. Inside the chamber now, Ash finds the cult. They've killed Maple and Neil, and it seems that they're trying to turn Todd into the next demon. This scene, unfortunately, has to be censored though, even as Ash is slaying the cultists. It's a pretty wild scene, and Sal comes in seeing Todd and the others there being consumed by the darkness. Sal is then approached by Larry. He looks ancient now, in a hood and with a big beard. The two are happy to connect again. It's great to see them together here to fight. They're going to try to save Todd, and Larry gives Sal his guitar back, still set up from when Todd powered it, and he sends Sal ahead as Larry shows off his new powers as well. Now we're back to the battle with Ash and this monster. She has to outmaneuver it and then slash with her charged hand, and just as the battle's heating up, Travis shows up, attacking the wolf-headed archbishop of the cult, his father. Travis refuses to let the cult win, proving that he's changed as he helps us by taking out his wicked father. Now Todd tells Ash to leave as she has the C4, but she's determined to detonate, hitting the button, but then nothing, and darkness begins to well up again. Larry is not giving in as he uses his power to wreck the demons as they come at him, working to free Todd. Now Sal is stuck in different universes, taking on monsters from the cult. At the same time, Ash is taking on the same monsters as Larry, using her powers to wipe them out, hitting them as they just keep coming. Now Sal is taking on another monster that's trying to strike him, and we flash to 3 chairs and the clay Sal in a haunting image. The monster is there, this devourer of God, and Sal refuses to listen to it as it claims that it is the final stage of humanity. But after all of this, we know that Sal won't give up, fighting in his Burton form now. The battles here are getting progressively harder, but the determination to win is too strong to give up. And after that, the 3D Sal is falling from the sky as spiked tendrils are reaching for him, forced to take them out with his guitar as he's in free fall, and then steering him here. I gotta admit, steering him is pretty frustrating. Afterward, we're back to Toon Sal, taking on moving eyes of the beast. I love seeing how the animation shifts, going to the disjointed spirit as the walls are closing in on him before we finish. Seeing the 3 friends coming together to vanquish the beast. It's over. Now, Ash is with Todd on the floor of the destroyed church. Larry shows up to check on the two, and then we hear Sal speaking. He's still there in her arm. Todd wakes up and is confused, but Sal promises to fill him in soon. We then learn that Larry doesn't have more time as he fades away. It's a bittersweet moment, leaving the 3 there alive, barely, and victorious at a heavy cost, before we get to be continued. And that's it. There is a Sally Face 2 that's in the works, so hopefully someday soon we'll get more. This was a wild game that I never expected to hook me the way it did. Sal is one of my favorite protagonists from any game, and the whole cast here were just incredible. Even the creepy ones. This game made me think a lot about my own childhood and relationships. It was difficult at times because of that, but it's a game that I'm really glad that BitBritly insisted I had to check out. And now, I'm looking to the future of this channel. I've got a lot of ideas, but at this point, I'm just happy to have this experience and to get to share it with all of you. If you've played this game, you know how great it is, and if you're finding out about it through this, what is wrong with you? No, but seriously, go and play Sally Face. It's worth it. It's an incredible story. And that's what we're all here for anyways. Stories. I've been the Unhinged Gamer. I love you all and thank you for watching.